is my absolute honor and joy to introduce Reverend Greg Coles, our guest speaker today. Reverend Greg is a native of Kitchener and a certified consultant from Unity Worldwide Ministries, who currently serves as the regional representative of the Great Lakes Unity region. Rev Greg has served in leadership roles for small, pastoral, and corporate-sized ministries since 1991. After retiring from the pulpit ministry in 2019, Reverend Greg now dedicates his time to assisting other ministers and leaders in the Great Lakes Unity region and Unity Kitchener. We are so grateful. In addition to his compassionate heart and church wisdom, Greg also brings skills he has cultivated from experience with Lombard Mennonite peace mediation, healthy congregations, and Unity Worldwide Ministries member services. Please join me in giving Reverend Greg a big, warm Unity Kitchener welcome. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you. I am listening. I can hear you, and your voice speaks softly every time I pray. I am listening, and my heart says that your love is always showing me the way. I am listening. I am listening. I am listening. Have you noticed the innate discomfort when what we expect to happen doesn't? I understand that Unity Kitchener has recently listed its property for sale. This beautiful, beautiful building where we've worshiped and sung and met for so many years. We've taught and we've learned and we've grown and we've loved and we've grieved and we've celebrated. Many of us didn't expect that this would happen. And it's bound to bring up discomfort. And now that we have listed the property for sale, there are bound to be expectations or fears or hopes that also may surprise us may not be met. As Cheryl said, I'm Reverend Greg Coles, and I serve as a ministry consultant for Unity Worldwide Ministries. So what that means is I have the best job in the world, because what I get to do is to serve other leaders and ministries in our worldwide movement. And that includes you, because I consider each of you leaders in your own right, just by your presence of being here, showing up. You are a leader. Over the next few months, I'll be offering some workshops and lessons that have been created to support this journey that we're calling Growing Through Change. And as Mel shared last week, change is inevitable. Change is life happening, natural, normal. So the question becomes, how do we use change for our own spiritual growth? As spiritual students, how do we use change for our own spiritual growth? So today I want to introduce you to a theory of change that is called Theory U, and I want to talk to you about the power of holding sacred space. And I want to start with a quote by Rachel Naomi Remen. Rachel is a professor of integrative medicine from Unity of California in Berkeley. And many of you will be more familiar with Rachel as the author of many books in modalities of healing. And Rachel says this: perhaps the most important thing we ever give each other is our attention. And I begin with this because in its essence, this is the meaning of holding sacred space. It is giving people our full attention. Notice it is not giving them our advice. It is not giving them our judgment. You know, I heard something once that I really liked. They said, if you deny another's perspective, you dehumanize them. If you deny another's perspective, you've dehumanized them. And I would suggest we not only dehumanize them, but we have placed ourselves in conflict with reality. Conflict with reality. And so when we're in conflict with reality, guess who's going to win? No surprise, right? Reality wins every time. So giving people our full attention is not giving them our judgment or advice. It's not having to agree or disagree with their story or their perspective. And it's not trying to fix them or change them in any way. It's simply giving our full attention. Heather Plett is an international speaker and a teacher of holding sacred space. And here's her definition for holding sacred space. Holding space means that we are willing to walk alongside another person in whatever journey they're on without judging them, making them feel inadequate, trying to fix them, or trying to impact the outcome. When we hold space for other people, we open our hearts, offer unconditional support, and we let go of judgment and control. So this past month, I've had the privilege of working with a spiritual transition team. And that team includes Cheryl Rogers, who's your ministry coordinator, Marg Dupuy, who is the president of or chair of your board of trustees, and Mel Horvad-Lucid, who is one of your guest speakers and also a transitional consultant. And together we've been talking about and co-creating this program, Growing Through Change. And then on Thursday, I had the privilege of meeting with your Board of Trustees with Unity Kitchener. I call it Unity Kitchener Online. When we meet like this, it's Unity Kitchener Online. So I had the privilege of meeting with your board, and they are so dedicated, so committed, so passionate. And we talked about the anxiety of change and uncertainty, and of not knowing the next step once the building is listed for sale. We also focused on the importance of knowing and remembering why we are doing this. Not the what, but why we're doing it. Because the why is so much more important than what. Because if we remember why, then the what, the how, and when will reveal themselves, right? The why. And so our why is our vision. And so we read this every week here at Unity Kitchener, and I want to read it again, if you'll read it with me. Our vision is a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. That is one powerful, powerful vision. But reality says, and you can Google the statistics, that churches are a dying industry. They have been for the last 20 years. Well before COVID-19, Unity Kitchener, like 8 out of 10 other ministries, has been in decline in attendance and financial giving. Normal. And we know that it's not sustainable to continue to do the same thing and expect different results. So as we embark on some intentional changes, such as listing our building for sale, I want us to understand a little bit about this nature of change. And specifically now, I want to introduce you to a theory of change called Theory U. Now, if you look up Theory U, or you read about it in his book, you'll see it was developed by a man named Otto Scharmer. But also, when you look it up, you'll see it's way complex. There's all kinds of information and material. It can be quite heady. I'm going to break it down into its simplest key pieces for us. Now, most of us think of change as a linear process where we move from point A to point B. We can just move along the line, and that represents change. So if I move from one place in this room where I'm at to another place, I've changed. Maybe not. If we move from one building to another building, we've changed. Maybe not. And corporations work extremely hard to make this linear model work, right? So along the way from point A to point B, we are adding this phase of analysis and gathering information. We're adding our visioning. We're creating our strategic plan. And then after we do all this, we will reach point B exactly how we want it to be. Right. Well, how does it really work? Well, most of us know the process of change really feels more like this next slide. Yeah. Where you've dropped off a cliff and you have absolutely no idea where you're going or when you're going to get there or what it's going to look like. It's like the rug has been pulled out from under us. And there's an innate feeling of fear, of uncertainty, of oh my God, what's happening? That's how change feels. That's how change begins. So Theory U offers us a nonlinear understanding of change, and not just dropping off the cliff, but how we move through the change process itself. So with Theory U, it's more like a U shape. And as we're dropping off the cliff, We're calling this letting go. Notice it's letting go. It's this realization that point A no longer quite serves us. It's kind of like a Lego home. So the home might have fit, it might have been perfect, everyone's getting along, it's just cozy, and then maybe it gets a little tight, or it starts to feel a little restrictive. New people are coming, we're not quite sure, we need to make adjustments. So there's a necessary phase of letting go. And if we drop and let go of our Lego home, parents, what happens when you drop a Lego in the home? Right, I think you know. Pieces shattered all over. It's uncomfortable. It's like walking on eggshells because it's hurtful. But change can only begin as we let go and allow this process to unfold. And then at the bottom of the U, after our letting go, we have presencing. And this is the bowl. And I love the analogy of the bowl because the bowl holds the pieces together. It doesn't try to direct them. It doesn't try to fix them. It simply holds sacred space. This is the holding sacred space, the presencing of the pieces exactly as they are. Now, when some people look at this bowl, they're going to look at a bowl and see all of the destruction. And they're going to see the broken pieces and they're going to feel sadness and they're going to feel grief and they're going to feel loss. Normal. There are other people who are going to look at this very same bowl with all of these pieces. And they're going to say, wow, look what we can do. Their creative juices are going to get going and flowing. So it's both and. And in this presencing, we simply allow. We allow. Now, the presencing process can happen quickly. It can happen in the blink of an eye. It can take years to really presence and center with where we are. And the next phase is letting come. And I love that. It's letting come. It's not a strategic plan. So it's not forcing anything. The tendency is going to be to recreate the house. This is letting come. It's allowing that there is something bigger at work here that is working through us as we emerge into something new, like maybe a bridge. Who knows what it will be. Sharma says that there are 3 phases as we go through this letting go, presencing, and letting come. The first is the process of having an open mind. So we may not understand it, we may not be able to figure it out, but we can have an open mind. We can be curious, open. The second phase is having an open heart. That's the more difficult part. That's the vulnerable part. That's allowing ourselves to feel the feelings from this letting go process, from the unknown, of feeling the fear, of moving through with an open heart. And each of these steps is really vulnerability, right? And the next is having an open will, that it's no longer my will, but a greater will that is at work, surrendering my illusion or desire for control, and having an open will. So these are the 3 phases that we move through change from A to B. And along this U, we're also going to have 3 challenges. The first challenge is judgment, which comes from the ego. And it's the ego's job, right, to protect us from change. That's the ego's job. So it's going to look for something to blame, something to protect. It's going to look for an enemy. It's going to be judgment. So we're going to have to work through that judgment. We're going to have to work through that. We're also going to have have to deal with cynicism. Rather than becoming vulnerable to our feelings, it's much easier to protect ourselves with cynicism. The other obstacle is fear, because it's really scary realizing that we're not in control and surrendering to that one power and presence that is moving through us and as us, to really surrender our will to a greater will. So fear is another challenge that we have to work through. So just to summarize all this, the process of change is an opportunity for our own spiritual and emotional growth, both as individuals and as a community. So as we let go and we list this beautiful facility for sale, and we step out into this unknown, there is going to be discomfort. Some folks will be feeling sad, pain, grief. Some will be angry, blaming. Others will be filled with excitement, exuberance, woohoo! Others will be relieved, finally. Some will be channeling their anxiety into trying to recreate the house just as it was. All normal experiences as we move through change. But to get to the other end of this change process is going to require that we become together a safe container for one another, to become the bowl, to have an open mind, to have an open heart, and to have an open will. To work through the challenges that are going to come up of judgment, cynicism, and of fear, in order for us to develop some resilience, right? Some strength and a renewed identity. There's also going to be the excitement of letting come, of listening and surrendering to a greater power than ourselves that is calling us into our next expression as Unity of Kitchener. That's exciting. So I want to do a plug, because this is all theory and it's based on reality, but I want to invite you to join us this afternoon from 1 to 3, so after a break, from 1 to 3, for a sacred listening circle. And this is an opportunity to put into practice holding sacred space for one another. So we're becoming the bowl, the safe container, without judging, without fixing, without trying to create a specific outcome. It's not a town hall. There is no Q&A. There are times for that. This is simply listening. It's listening to Spirit as it seeks to speak to each of us as individuals, and listening to how it is speaking through others. So it's a listening exercise about the thoughts and the feelings that we are experiencing of change here at Unity Kitchener. And I understand we may have some guests from other ministries, so I want you to imagine the changes that are also going on at your ministry, because your ministry is alive, and change means life. If we're not changing, we're dying. So I want you to join us also, and to use this time to get what you need to understand how we can grow through change together. When things don't happen the way we expect they will, it's going to be uncomfortable. Cheryl, let's go to the next slide. Some are going to feel pain and grief. Oh, sorry. Let's not go to the next slide. So when things don't happen the way we expect, it's going to be uncomfortable. Some people are going to be feeling pain and sadness and regret. And some are going to be excited and jubilant, creative, both and. And we can pull apart in different polarities, thinking people should think like us, feel like us, making it a right or wrong. Or we can come together and be the bowl for one another as we go through this transition and change together. So we will be allowing Spirit to guide us in the co-creation of a transformed world through shared spiritual awakening. And that's our vision, right? So that we are co-creating a world that works for all. All are included. Now, it is truly my deepest joy and honor to be with you on this journey. And I hope you'll join us this afternoon for an experience of spiritual growth and deepening connection, as together we are growing through change. Namaste. And I invite us to take some time now to prepare for a period of spiritual communion and meditation. You might close your eyes or allow them to focus on the words as we allow Trish to invoke our time of meditation with her beautiful voice and music.
Lead me to the light. Lead me to the light. Help me to make it through. Lead me into the light. Turn my mind today. Take the hurt away. Help me to be with you. Lead me into the light.
So as we move into this time of spiritual communion and meditation, I invite you to close your eyes and allow my voice to be the voice of your own soul, your own voice speaking to you. Listening to the sound of the breath, I feel the afflictions in me begin to dissolve and melt away. All worry and concern begins to dissipate into the nothingness from which it came. My mind rests and becomes clear. My body relaxed. A smile is born on my lips. Following the sound of the breath, I am guided inward to the safe harbor of mindfulness. Here, in my heart center, the power or flower of peace blooms beautifully. Everything that I need is now present, and there is nothing lacking as I radiate with the essence of divine love. In this now moment, there is nothing else to do. There is nothing else to be. There is only my attention focusing back on the breath. I notice the sensation of the breath as it enters, breathing in. And as it exits, I'm breathing out. Immersed in the very presence of Holy Spirit, calm washes over me. I wait and listen for that very still small voice of the divine that waits for me and speaks to me in the quiet. And whenever I notice my mind has wandered, as it does, I bring my attention back to the breath. And again, I listen for the voice of God that is breathing me. With the breathing in and the breathing out, I become still and I listen in the silence. I am listening. I can hear you, and your voice speaks softly every time I pray. I am listening, and my heart says that your love is always showing me the way. I am grateful for your blessings, for the wisdom and the happiness you bring, for the joy that I'm expressing, and for the peace that comes when I hear my heart sing.
Sorry. Continue.
And so it is. Amen. Amen.
Lead me to the light. Lead me to the light. Help me to make it through. Lead me into the light.
Oh my goodness, Greg. I am basking in this beautiful sacred space that you created here for us this morning. And I feel like I really don't want to say too much because I just want to let that container hold it and let it be. So with much gratitude, thank you, thank you, thank you.